issue 3 of Savage Dragon, battles Bedrock. So I think he had to change his name to Badrock after this, but this was before the name change. Obviously, that's a character from the Youngblood, Eric Larson, and Rob Liefeld. Yeah, Rob Liefeld's character. So, this is early on in Image, so they were very cognizant of like making a universe and bringing all these characters together, Youngbloods and Spawn and Wildcats and Cyberforce, and we'll get into that in this issue. This is the third and final issue of the miniseries. I loved this opening splash because the color I think is pretty dope, and at this point I had never seen anything like this, and it looks like a dude made out of like magma lava stuff. I had never seen anything like that with this type of coloring at that point, so it was just really stunning. This character named Inferno. And then we get the standard double page spread to open up. These are always great. I always love them, so I'm always going to call them out. So I guess from the previous issue, Savage Dragon was beat up by a super patriot, not dead, but injured on the floor. Now he's back up, getting attacked again. It never ends for him, man. Not again. Puts his head through the wall. That's another Savage Dragon move, just crushing a guy's head right into the wall. Post him in there. That's great. And so what happens here? We meet Overlord. Nice shot of him right there. He lives in this crazy tall skyscraper that'll come into play later. And so he's pissed because he apparently he wanted Super Patriot to kill all these goons who were getting too big for their britches. And so Overlord wanted Super Patriot to kill Savage Dragon, kill these goons. And he was working with Cyber Data, which is like a Cyberforce adjacent company. He wanted them to take care of the situation, and he's pissed because they blew it. This is the hostage from the first issue who looks very familiar. I think he swipes a panel from one of his Amazing Spider-Mans later with this character as a Mary Jane stand-in. But she wants to repay Dragon for saving her life. And Ann Stevens, the nurse here, she talks about her encounter with Mighty Man, or the Mighty Man's alter ego, who was elderly. It's like a Shazam gimmick, where he's one person, but if he says the words or touches his bracelets, then he turns into the superhero. But we know what happens. If you've read any Savage Dragon, you know what happens with this character here. So Savage Dragon has to talk to the media. Frank Darling is filling him in on the exposition here, and he's attacked by Bedrock. And they have just a full cartoon comic battle, which is great. Cameo by Spawn, who thinks he's been outed, but it's just some kids who want to see more Savage Dragon. I love this. The panel shooting him out the window into the water. And then this, he finds out why. That's a great one. He finds out why Bedrock attacked him, and it's because he wanted to see if he was tough enough to join Youngblood, and he's pissed. He says that's the stupidest thing he's ever heard, and he arrests Bedrock, and he goes home, and his neighbor Debbie is kicked out of the house, so he takes her in for the night. And Frank Darling gets a phone call from Overlord and Skullface saying that they know what he did and they're going to blackmail him. Because basically he got his brother killed. He gave up his brother to the bad guys to try and talk Savage Dragon into joining the Force. And it worked. But now he owes them. All right, and that's the last issue of this miniseries. More unnamed letters. He goes into, they're going to name this the Fanatics later. We're one of the longest running letter columns in comics today, or ever. Everybody seems to appreciate it. I'm trying to think of what else happens here. Oh yeah, the character creation contest. This is where he announces the contest to enter a character that will fight Savage Dragon. Ends up being Jimbo the Mighty Lobster, but this was a big deal for kids who wanted to try and get their character put into this comic. So that's a big deal. Happens here. And next up, we have Savage Dragon issue 1. I think issue 0 takes place somewhere in between there. Or, Image 0 has a story that takes place in between here. And then there's Savage Dragon 1/2 that actually takes place maybe later. I'll have to figure this out. I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure we're just going to come back next week with at least Savage Dragon 1 and maybe any of the other material that was missing in the middle of that with Image 0. Thanks a lot.